Hi folks, welcome back. As promised, this is going to be the video with this rough 4.5 that I showed you in the last video when I promised we were going to start stripping this down. This is going to be sort of as is, real time, no editing. I've given it a really good soaking of WD-40, which is a favourite of mine. So we're going to go ahead, see how it strips down, break it down into its various bits, and then we'll start seeing about cleaning it up. Now, before I dosed it with WD-40, if you remember in the last video, everything was seized. I could barely move the lever cap. As we know, it's got the damaged tote, which is still damaged. It's not miraculously repaired. All in there was seized. We've got a bit of movement there now in there. All this was very rusty. So let's go ahead and see how it does actually break down. Now again, we're not going to force anything. If it doesn't want to come, we're going to have to work on it a bit more. But there we go. The lever cap's actually come off, so the WD-40 has done its job. You can see the sort of state that it's in. It's very rusty. I'm not sure what the screws are like, so we'll give them a go. There you go, you get that little crack as it breaks the seal. That's the sort of state that we're in, which again, this is the sort of stuff that we're getting at the moment. There's not a lot of movement on there, so don't be afraid to add a bit of the penetrated oil in. If it won't undo, it's an idea to try and send it in and just tighten it like that. There we go. Now we've got a bit of movement. But again, don't force anything. If it won't come the first time, that's not too bad. That's actually come out and left the threaded bar in, so we'll see how that comes out. There we go. There's some lovely grain on this front knob. I don't know if you can pick that up. Looks like a bit of sapwood there. So that's going to clean up lovely. Threaded bar, that comes out nice and easily, and it's relatively straight, which is a surprise. The rear handle or tote, again, we know that this is broke, so let's see how this comes apart. Again, we've got that little hourglass finial on top. And there we are. It looks like there's all sorts of glue. I think there might even be a bit of silicone sealant on there as well. So that's going to take some making good. Now we'll try the screw in the base of the tote. That's come out okay. But again, very rusted. We're going to be able to clean all them up. Threaded bar, that comes out. We can do a bit of work on that. There's the bottom of the tote. So it's a clean break. We should get that to look something like, pop that down there. Right, now we'll see about taking the frog screws out. Not a lot in there, so again, give them a good dose of oil. We'll let that sit for a moment. There we go. Again, quite rusty washers. A couple of washers that sit underneath. That one's come out as well. This penetrating oil, this WD-40, really does do the job. Again, just try and keep everything tidy on your bench so you're not losing anything. That slides out. This is this little bracket and the screw there that sits onto that screw there with a little locating slot which slides the frog backwards and forwards, if you remember. No, that's not going to come out at the moment. That may need a really good soak. We'll leave that sitting there for a minute. Back out this screw here, the mouth adjustment screw. That comes out, and again in quite a sorry state. So that sits on there. The adjustment wheel. Crikey, that's a bit tight, but there we go. That threaded bar in there, that's not in bad condition actually, if you can see that. And there's the wheel. Now let's have another go at this little retaining bracket. No, there's no movement on that at all, so I'm going to need to work on that a little bit more. Let's just have a look at the body. Okay, that's the sort of thing we've got to work with. Now by the looks of it, there's not a lot of the Japanning, which is the black treatment that they used. There's not a lot of that left. There's a bit in there. There's not a lot left at the front. We've got bits of paint in here. Goodness knows why there always seems to be paint splattered over planes, but there is. We've got quite a bad band there of paint on the side. There's the other side. There's the base. Now that really is quite rusty, so this is going to take a bit more work than the last one we did, that number 5, but I'm sure we'll get there. Again, it's all about time. Take your time with it. The insides are quite bad, that's really quite rusted, so I think this is a nice 4.5 of an earliest date. I think we're going to actually strip this right back, and then we'll redo the black on it as well. Which is new to me, so we'll be doing that one together for the first time. Okay, so that's the sort of stage we're at.